This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Women Petpreneurs podcast with your host, Mary Oquendo. So my guest today is Mindy Gottesman.
Right?
Awesome.
Correct. You got it.
Yeah, you know what? I grew up with a really difficult last name that was like, but it's just pronounced as it's written, you know?
I always tell people God is man is the easiest way to say my last name, Gottesman.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Put it together quicker, right?
Good German last name, right?
Actually, Russian and Russian. Actually, okay. No German.
All right, so I grew up. My maiden name is Dunkelman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's I think probably as German as you get.
Right.
Maybe. So, anyway, all right. So let's start off. How did you get involved in the pet industry?
So, crazy thing. So I was graduating from high school, and I was the youngest of four girls, and it was really important to my parents that we all went to college. I did not do well in high school, just got average grades, and towards the end of my senior year, I noticed there was a dog grooming school on my walk back and forth to school. And so I would say maybe about 8 weeks before I graduated high school and had already signed up for college to go to cosmetology school because I figured that would be the easiest thing for me to do. I stopped in the grooming school. And the minute I walked in that door, it was like home. It was like something came over me and said, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I started stopping in there like every day for like 2 weeks. And I started talking to the director there. It was called Masters School of Dog Grooming. And I still have my certificate, graduated in 1982. So anyways, she gave me the packet to sign up for school. And I took it home to my mom the day before I was supposed to leave to actually go to cosmetology school. And I told my mother, I do not want to go to college. This is what I want to do. And I gave her all the information. My dad wasn't home, and she's like, I'll talk to your father tonight. And, they're loading up the car to put all my stuff, for my dorm room and whatnot, sheets and blankets and towels and, all that stuff. And so I woke up in the morning and all the stuff was out of the car. My mother handed me the packet with the check and said, go sign yourself up for dog grooming school. So that's what I did. If I remember correctly, it was 850 hands-on hours and 700 and something of book work and, all of the worksheets and, where they teach you about the lengths and the this and the that, all that other stuff, the anatomy and, all of the book work kind of stuff. So I completed everything, and I got married, really young, right out of high school. And my husband was doing pretty well, and he got an American Express card in the mail, and that's what I used to open my first dog grooming salon. So it was all at 20.
Well, okay, so in the 80s, just for those who just a little of context here, okay? Credit was not that easy to get.
No.
In the 80s, okay? I remember because I got married in 1980, all right? In order to get credit card, okay, we opened up a savings account, and we took loans from the bank as the savings account was collateral. And then we paid it back, and we started to get a credit rating. Okay.
Right.
We had to do stuff like that. We bought stuff from like Finger Hut on leg. Right. I
Absolutely.
I still have the red velvet curtains from Finger Hut.
Oh, Mary, come on.
I swear to God, the red velvet curtains. My daughter took them. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Because these are so retro. So she's got them hanging up in her house somewhere. All right. But yeah, so we bought so many things off of that, and it took us a long time to build credit. We got our first Sears credit card, and it was amazing. Okay. And let's fast forward then, I don't know, 10-ish, 15 years, and they're giving away credit, which is why I think a lot of people got into so much trouble.
Yeah, I know I did.
Because they were just giving away. I mean, we were getting, and it sounds like a joke, but it's not. We were getting credit cards in the name of our dogs.
Oh my God.
So Sammy Oquendo got a credit card application.
Oh my God.
Okay.
That's
That's
awesome.
how much they were giving away credit at the time. And now they're tightening things up. So, yeah. But that's how I also got my first van. Got it as actually as a car loan. All right. Dodge rolled it, the whole conversion in. It's a car loan.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so it was just a $5,000 line of credit basically that he handed to me and said, go ahead and, give it your best shot, and I did. And it was a very successful business. I started out pretty good, and young. And then quickly realized that I didn't have the business sense behind me. All of that, like you were talking about credit and banking and payroll, and I didn't have all that knowledge really. I mean, they gave us a little bit of that training in the school, but it wasn't enough to really know what I was doing. And so after about, I think, 3 or 4 years, things got pretty difficult. I wasn't able to keep paying the rent. I wasn't able to, find any groomers at that time. It was very difficult. And so I closed up shop there. We moved to a place further away from where the shop was. And I started working for somebody. And that was like the first time I worked for anybody after, I had graduated and done that. So I did that for a little while, and it helped me gain some business knowledge, how a salon should really be run. And, I learned a lot from her. She was a Schnauzer breeder, a very prominent Schnauzer breeder, and I learned how to strip Schnauzers and all of that. But I didn't like doing that hand stripping stuff at all. So I just kind of moseyed on, got a divorce, worked for another lady for a little while, and then I ended up in the mortgage business and the banking business for about 8 years through my husband had a situation open up, and I thought, it'd be a good thing to, have something else under my belt other than just grooming. So I did that for about 10 years. And then in 2008, when the mortgage industry and all of the real estate stuff took a bang, my mother wanted us to move down to Florida, or me at that time. And so she really helped me. Parents were very instrumental in getting me down here and getting me started. We rented a house, and then I found this lady because I was going to get a mortgage job. But by the time I got down here, everything was no mortgage jobs. And so I found this little lady. It was called Poodle Puff. It was a little dog grooming shop in the corner of a little mall in the neighborhood kind of thing. And Penny had inherited this grooming shop from the owner. And Penny didn't really know how to groom. She was a bather. And when Muriel passed away, the owner of Poodle Puff, she left the business to Penny. Penny was not the best business owner. And I walked in there one day, and she was overloaded with dogs, and she was having a really rough day. And she's like, come back tomorrow, we'll talk, and I'll bring one of my dogs and you can groom it. She had poodles. And so she brought in 2 of her poodles. And at that time, I hadn't groomed in 10 years. So I'm like, and I didn't have any equipment or anything. So she let me use her scissors, her clippers, and everything. And I groomed those 2 poodles like I really knew what I was doing. And she hired me on the spot. She says, I think you groom better than I do. And I'm like, well, that would be great if I can complement, what you're doing, and, we can help each other out. So quickly came to realize Penny was basically also an alcoholic. And so she wasn't really present a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like she was whatever. So I started advertising to get more business so I could have more dogs to groom for me. And she agreed to it. And after about 4 years of that silliness, we ended up having to leave our location and move into a laundry room situation at the back of a veterinarian's office. And we muddled through that for a little while. And then Penny got pretty bad. And I ended up leaving there and opened my own salon again, my second salon. And so I did that. It was a real sweet little spot. Did that for 3 years, 4 years. Realized quickly, again, can't find groomers. Can't really make enough money to pay the groomers, pay myself, have it all be, it's just, again, I didn't have that business background, right? So I closed that shop, moved the shop into my garage, and worked out of my garage for about 6 or 7 years until I decided to sell that house because the market was really good at the time. And I made some good money on the house. I bought a cheaper house, and then I bought a mobile van. And this was as recent as within the last 5 years. So then I went mobile. So it's like I had a storefront, brick and mortar, and then worked for a couple of people, and then opened that other shop. So it was just like I've done everything, and not hugely successful, but always supported myself, supported my family, kept a roof over our head, those kind of things as a single mom, that we all struggle through. And it's always been a really good thing for me. It's really been my passion since high school, and it's always what I've done. So yeah, fast forward to now, I had an admirer on Facebook who has an extremely successful mobile business called Rough Life. And he contacted me through Facebook. He's like, look, I have about 60 friends on my Facebook page. You're one of them, and I don't know why, but I've been stalking you for like this last 6 months, and I see you would really benefit for what I have to offer. And so I've been working with him since September, and he is everything that I've always missed in my career of grooming, which is that huge business support, the back stuff that I never had. And although, I'm giving up a lot of money, and it's like a lot of, self-employed groomers, oh, I make all my money, I don't want to give it up, and I don't want to, work for anybody else and have to give up half my money or, 70%, nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to work for themselves. And while it is lucrative, and if you do it right, you can, but I feel like that huge support now of that business, that background, is really what's catapulting me into a whole different situation than I've ever had in my 45 years of grooming. So I feel like I finally reached that real professional spot because I have that professional business behind me.
Well, you know what? You make a really good point about, the whole business side. It's a business. And I don't know how many posts I see on Facebook. Well, how much do you charge? And that should not ever come into the equation. You should know what it takes to run your business. All right. Charge accordingly and base your prices on what your needs are and what it is you offer. So if you're asking what someone is charging, stop it. Stop it. Stop doing that.
Stop it.
Stop it. Okay.
I agree.
And take
that opens up a whole nother conversation as to, why are you even asking? Because I feel that, prices are just all over the place. And I feel that there really needs to be something more, like mechanics, for instance, they make a certain amount of money based on their experience, right?
Right.
Like you have some mechanics that make $20 an hour, $40 an hour, $50 an hour. And I think that's kind of starting to happen in the grooming industry now too. But I just feel there needs to be more, like every dog, no groomer, I don't care what your situation is, whether you're brick and mortar, whether you're mobile, whether you're house call, home grooming, whatever you're doing. And I don't care what kind of dog it is. If you're spending an hour with that dog, it should be $100. That should be the minimum that we should be grooming a dog for.
Yeah.
Any dog. Any
And,
dog in any situation.
Yeah, no. Which, you know what? When I went mobile in 2002, I'm a huge proponent of hourly rates. Okay. Not breed rates. How much time is it taking me to groom your pet? And I had two separate hourly rates. I had one for like smaller dogs. And the second rate was for larger haircuts, bigger dogs and cats. So there was hourly rate based on what it is I was doing. And the reason I went hourly, all right, is because I worked in a shop, worked corporate, and I had a reputation for doing all the hard to handle dogs. Okay. But I wasn't being compensated properly for the amount of time it was taking me. All right. I would have two Shih Tzus come in. One would take me that hour and one would take me an hour and a half. And the difference in price between the two of them may have been $10. Okay. So, and I thought that was rather unfair, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was unfair all around. It was unfair to me. It was unfair to that dog that was on a regular schedule, well-maintained, coming in. And it wasn't right for somebody who did not maintain their pet to come in and really not pay much more than that well-maintained pet. It was harder on that pet because that pet wasn't used to being grooming. So it was like an all around, I think, unfair. And that was the way corporate had set it up. So I figured that if I was going to groom those dogs, okay, then I needed to be compensated fairly for them. Okay. Yes, it's going to be an hour and a half. So it's an hour and a half of my time. Okay. You do know that if we bump up the grooming schedule over the course of the year, it's not costing you any more money. It's probably costing you about the same. Your dog is getting groomed on a regular basis. He's happier. I'm happier. We're all happier. So anyway, that was why I went hourly right out of the gate in 2002. All right. But yeah, being compensated fairly and charging accordingly, and you don't know what your hourly rate should be if you don't do a business plan. And I will say, when I first started in 2002, I did not have a business plan. Okay. I would say
neither did I. I'm just like, oh, open the doors and let's cut some dog hair.
You know, and there was a lot of really stupid mistakes I made, which I'm glad were short-lived, and other things that could have been huge mistakes. But I would say sometimes God favors the stupid.
Absolutely.
Because I had based my pricing on, okay, that this is what the shop was charging. I was the queen of add-ons there. So I was already the highest priced shop corporate as the highest priced shop in the area. Okay. And then I just upped my price, like, I don't know, $10. And that's how I came to my hourly rate. Okay. And, you know, it started out okay, but I realized even then that I needed to be more, but I started up higher. Okay. So I could do the increases that I needed to do. And it was probably a good 5-6 years into my business that I realized that I'm just winging my prices.
Mm-hmm. I love our pricing the way they have it. It's done by weight and coat, long hair, short hair, and double coated. End of story. You know what I mean? And it works. It's really incredible.
Okay. And you know what? You do have to find what works for you, that you're being paid accordingly and paid not only this is my soapbox, okay? Being paid accordingly to run your business, to pay you a salary, and also to account for funds, you know, emergency funds. Here's one: vacation fund,
Right?
retirement fund.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, there's so many factors that go into actually doing properly pricing so that you are you're making a living wage.
I remember when I opened my shop and I did talk to an accountant and he went over all of that with me. And my basic small dog started at $40. Can you tell me why, Mary? Why in 2024 we still have groomers starting out prices at $40? Can you tell me why? Why has grooming not gone with inflation? Grooming prices. Why?
I don't know. I know when I go buy a gallon of milk at the supermarket and I notice the price has increased from the week before, I don't question it. If I want that gallon of milk, I'm going to buy that gallon of milk. I don't argue at the gas pumps.
We don't ask our doctors to charge us less either.
No. I don't think, and I've had 3 kids, and I never asked the hairdressers for a multiple kid discount.
No, never.
Never occurred. My doctor didn't give me a multiple kid discount.
No. So I really would like to get down to the bottom of why the grooming industry suffers in this whole pricing scenario.
I can tell you part of the problem. Okay. Part of the problem is so many of us come into this industry either very young,
which I did, but
okay, not me. I came in very, I credit a lot of the not taking any nonsense in this industry because I didn't start into this industry until my youngest daughter was 16 years old. I had 3 teenage daughters and I was done taking crap. So I came in with a different attitude, but I still didn't have the business end of things that I really needed to do. So I think I started in more midway, all right, than starting at the very beginning. So very young, our brains haven't like fully formed. We're too influenced.
For real.
We're too influenced by people pleasing and this is the way we do things. All right. To say, no, this is the way I should be doing things. So the very young coming in doesn't have that. And then you start in very young and now you're middle-aged and you still, that's the mindset you have had from the very beginning. So I think it's something that we need to look at as a whole, and continuing education is what helps you get past that. I can remember going to a trade show and I don't remember the first person who said it, but it stuck with me. All right. And basically it was just a conversation with other groomers. And it was about not tolerating abusive behavior from clients. All right. That you come in and people yell and scream at you and you take it. And then you give them free grooms. That was a big problem at corporate. Okay.
I remember the first client I kicked out of my lobby. I'm like, I can tell you right now, no matter what I do to your dog, you're not going to be happy. So there's the door. Take your dog and see you later. Bye.
The store that I worked at, I had put a stop to a lot of that because what was happening is that the store would say, okay, you don't have to pay. Okay. And comp them the groom. And then I wasn't getting commission, which actually is illegal to do because I did the work. I made a huge fuss. Like, okay, you want to comp the groom? That's on you. I still get paid. And I told them I would go right down to the Department of Labor and straighten this out with them. So the store on a whole stopped just randomly doing that. And the people who were, and then the other group of people, the way they do it, and I know they do it differently now, is that they would come into the grooming room. All right. I would give them the slip to pay and give them their dog and then trust them to actually go pay. You know,
they would walk right out with the ticket in their pocket.
So I started I would give them the ticket. I said, will you bring me back the receipt? Then, I'll go get the dog.
Right. Yeah.
That also put a stop to things. So it's, it's looking at, again, it's that whole, I ain't taking any crap from anybody.
I had a lady yesterday, the day before yesterday, I groomed her dog, two dogs, a golden and a dachshund. And I sent her the link to pay, like right when I was done. And I said, did you get the link? She had her phone in her hand when I brought the golden to the door. And she's like, yeah, I have the link. I'm like, cool, thank you. Prompt payments appreciated, right? I pull away. She didn't pay till the next day when I sent her another text, a third payment link to pay her bill. And I said, just so you know, FYI, payment is expected at time of service, not 48 hours later.
And again, how many groomers let that behavior go?
Yeah, I was mad.
I need to see the receipt.
And then she didn't give me a tip either. Nasty lady. She did the same thing the first time too. The first time I did her dog.
All right, so you know what? Hey, you got the link. Good. I need you to pay it, and so that we can not bring the dogs out. Literally, not bring the dogs out until payment is made.
There you go. That's on her record.
Now, on the flip side, just so people know, on the flip side, okay, you cannot hold a pet hostage
for payment.
For payment, you can't. You can say, hey, I'll bring your pet out after you pay, but if they refuse payment, you legally cannot hold it. What you can do instead is you can call the police, all right? Have them come down and say, listen, this person is giving me a hard time.
Theft of service, right?
It's a theft of service, all right? They're not going to come down for a theft of service. They will come down for a person being agitated and being dangerous in your facility. I don't feel comfortable giving them their pet. I would like the police to be here. Okay. So now the police are there. All right. Now the police are there. So yes, but they still have to pay me. Okay. Because if not, can you take a theft of service complaint right now?
There you go.
I can. When I was working corporate, got a brand new car. This brand new car was in the parking lot, and I watched the woman from the window take her shopping cart and just slam it into my car. Not even like just let it go. I mean, slam it into my car because it was in her way. Wow. Right. So I go out there. And I said, you just hit my car. And she goes, well, that's not my problem. It's a parking lot. And I go,
oh my God.
So I go, yeah, kind of is your problem. So I took her license plate and she just left. So I called the police. I told them what happened. And they went over to her house because they ran her plate. They ran over to her house. And this woman is like, well, yeah, I was in a parking lot. I just moved my cart out of the way. I can't help it if it dented her car. That was the quote she gave the police officers. And the guy's like, well, I'm going to need your insurance information so I can give it to her.
My goodness.
Right? Because then the option was you left the scene of an accident.
Mm-hmm.
So your choice, give me the insurance or we go the other route.
Mm-hmm.
My insurance agent was so excited that I had her information. She says, we never get these. We never get, we always got to pay out. We never get these. We never get the people responsible for it. I'm like, well, here you go. I made your day.
That's awesome.
If it was an old dented up car, I might have been less inclined, but it was a brand new car. I think I still had temporary plates on that thing. So where do you see yourself? And where would you like to be in the pet industry?
So that's a really good question. So I love to educate. I created a whole series of videos teaching people how to maintain their own dogs at home. And I love to educate the pet parent. That's like my thing. I want you to say, hey, I don't need you for another 2 weeks because everything you taught me, I've been doing, and my dog's in great shape, and I don't need you yet. And that's great. Your dog is brushed, it's not matted, you've done its pads, you make sure its nails are cut. You know, if you're not doing it yourself, you take it to your local vet or whatever the case may be. But I literally just had a lady today that I spent 2.5 hours teaching her how to maintain her mini golden doodle. And she sent me pictures of everything. She went and got all the supplies that I told her to get. She's brushing the dog every day exactly the way I told her to. And the dog's in great shape, you know? And she's like, I think we're good for another couple weeks. I'm like, awesome. That's my goal, is to get it to, because, you know, a lot of groomers are getting harder and harder to find good ones, right? And I just feel like it's so important that pet owners are educated, because if we have another shutdown or anything else like that, or you cannot get your dog to the groomer, you got to know how to do some stuff yourself. You have to, you know, especially with all these doodles, you know. So that's really like, I would love to sell some e-courses. If I could get that thing up and running, the marketing, I don't have any knowledge how to market it, right? My daughter put it all on like one of those platforms like Kajabi or whatever they're called. I don't know. I forget which one we use, but it's all out there. I just have to market it and sell it. So that's one thing. And then I would love to do some like more in person. Like I've been thinking about contacting, because I obviously can't. I'm 63, so I can't keep this schedule up that I've been doing, and I've been working with my boss trying to build. He has 13 trucks on Long Island, and down here in Florida, he came down here and they were kind of just retiring because this whole business is just run on the Mogo app. He has 2 full-time secretaries that answer calls if people have questions or can't figure it out or whatever.
What's his name?
Chris Elias.
Oh, I don't know him.
Chris and Emily Elias, they're husband and wife. She was a Petco girl, or one of the box store girl, groomers. And she says, I'd really like to, be able to do this on our own and go mobile. She's a crazy cat lady. Like she'll groom 30 cats in a weekend on the island. Yeah, it's crazy. She's crazy. But so it's just been a phenomenal exchange. It's like I interviewed him for 2 hours before I decided to take the job. I asked him every single question and he answered everyone right. And I'm like, okay, so you're somebody I can align myself with, because I know I'm not going to get, I'm going to be fine. The support's just incredible.
All right. And I would be really remiss as an educator not to throw this out, not only for you, but for anyone else that's listening and wants to educate. So I have a new membership. It's called Create That Program. Okay. And it's got 17 pre-recorded videos up there. There's a monthly hot seat call, basically, where we discuss anything the members want to discuss, go over programs, yada, yada, yada. And it's $197 a month. And for anyone who's interested in speaking, it's probably the most cost-effective way to work with me to help get your educational career off the ground. So
that sounds amazing.
It's on the website, positiveed.com. So if you're interested, just go
I'm
over.
going to definitely look into that, Mary, because I am reaching a point where my physical capacities are dwindling. And although I love what I do, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. My daughter's going to have a baby soon. I'm so excited. So I'm going to, be playing some grandma duties, so I'm going to have to be more creative and recreate my wheel, so to speak, and try and do things more virtually. I remember, when the pandemic first hit, light bulb moment went off. I'm like, hey, why don't I just get some people to sign up and I'll do a few Zoom courses and I'll teach people, over over Zoom how to brush your dog, or how to clean your dog's ears, or how to cut your dog's nails, or whatever. And I just think it's so needed, because
Oh, no,
there is
that whole pet industry, the whole pet owner side of it is virtually untapped on something that is available across the board. So there might be a lot of groomers who do it like locally and regionally, but not something that's like nationally. I think I think that is really, really needed. I mean,
another idea I have too is, like, here where I live, we have, a lot of HOA developments where there's a clubhouse, and there's arts and crafts rooms and this and that. And they do a lot of community events where, they'll get, 10 or 15 or 20 homeowners to actually maybe come to a grooming seminar, to where I can, educate them on stuff.
Yep.
So that's something else I really want to try and look into.
Okay. And those are really good options to do. I remember when I decided that I was going to be an educator rather than a dog groomer, because I was starting to fall apart, right? Not badly, but I knew it was coming. But my husband had chronic medical conditions. He was really broken down. Okay. We can't have two broken down people in the house. We just can't. So one of us had to be in better health than the other, and I needed to have an exit plan. So I actually started online teaching in 2011.
I'm definitely going to look into your membership and stuff. And then lastly, like, my dream, my overall dream of what I would like to do when I finally retire is have a grooming van and attach a camper to it. And I want to hit the road and groom shelter dogs for free for donations all across the country. And I just want to, like, do a whole loop around the country and stop at as many humane societies and rescues that I can, and maybe create some sort of a database of groomers that would like to volunteer and do the same thing. So if I'm traveling, say, I'm going to be in Texas in October. Are there any groomers that would like to donate their time? I'll be at such and such and such a place at such and such a time, come and join us. Or if I can't be there, one of those people in the database can say, hey, I'll do that. It's right near me. I can go groom that dog, So because what I do now, where I park my truck, is at the Humane Society. It's 3 miles from my house. So I groom all of the dogs that come in that are severely matted. If you go through my Facebook page, you'll see a ton of them, just amazing transformations that I do with the shelter dogs. And it's just so rewarding. It is the most rewarding, unbelievable thing to do. And if I would like to see a lot more groomers do that too.
Okay, no, that's a really good. I could see that database, because there are a lot of groomers where they do this. They already do this. When I was grooming in Danbury, Connecticut, they had somebody who could maintain, but not the severely matted dogs.
Yeah, like the vet tech up at the shelter where I work through, she can do some stuff, with a 40 blade. Like, there was a dog that, like, it was in really bad shape. They didn't even call me. The vet tech did it, because they had to knock it out, and it had, like, she had to shave it with a 40. It was casted really badly. She can do that kind of stuff. But to try and do the transformation type stuff, they always call me.
Yeah. No, they would call me when they had dogs that their people couldn't do. So I would come in. On occasion, the dog would have to be sedated. Generally, it was just matted, and they were not comfortable grooming a dog that was as matted as that was.
Right. I had one a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you saw the picture. It was just crazy. Somebody had shaved her whole body down, but had left her head, like, from the neck up, and it was just one solid mat. Like, her ears were matted into her head, and it was, so I think it was just like, oh, we don't know, hell, we'll cut her ear off or something. So they just left her whole head.
And that's fine too. I like when people who are grooming, non-professionals, okay, know their limitations.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one.
Not to make assumptions, okay? In the beginning, when I was first starting mobile, all right, I had a couple of Goldens ended up with stitches behind the back of the ears because they tried to cut out what I like to refer to as the love mats.
Right?
And I reframed it for the owners. I said, don't cut those out. You let me shave those out. They're called love mats. Okay. And when I framed it like that they're love mats, okay, they didn't feel bad about leaving them. I tell them, I'm a little suspicious when golden retrievers don't have love mats. Just saying. This way, and they stopped cutting them out, and the dog stopped having to go to the vet to get either some glue or some stitches.
Right.
Let me shave them out, please. So they're very proudly given a golden retriever with mats behind the ears.
I had a client with a Maltipoo and a Shih Tzu, and they're an elderly couple, and the dogs are, I don't know, I think Bear is like maybe 6 or 7 years old, and Sweetie the Shih Tzu is like maybe about 10. But long story short, they get a hold of me and they're like, our dog's really afraid of grooming because my husband tried to cut them himself, and Bear ended up in the hospital with 14 stitches. Like, okay, great. They send me a picture of this poor dog, and he's all cut up. He's got, stitches here, stitches there, stitches everywhere. And I'm like, all right, as soon as he gets his stitches out and he's grown back, about a half an inch, call me, and I'll come see what I can do. Oh, the dog is vicious now. He won't let anybody touch him. It's like you got to muzzle him. You got to, So I don't groom them anymore because they don't want to pay my new price on the mobile. So, because I was doing in-home at the time. So.
Okay. Well, you know what, whatever. We lose clients because of cost, but that's fine too.
It is. I find that it's been very, very uplifting to be able to get rid of some of the clients that I had that were just not in alignment with my success and what I'm doing, I had a client say, oh, you slighted us. You raised us $10. You slighted us. I'm like, okay. I groomed your dog in your kitchen, 2 dogs in your kitchen for 3 years for a discounted price. You washed the dogs yourself in your bathtub. And now I come to you with this brand new grooming vehicle and you can't pay me $10 more. I slighted you. Okay.
We'll move on. My favorite line was, it's a pleasure doing business with you. I wish you well with your new groomer.
Yeah.
And that elicits a couple different responses. One is they just stand there with their mouth open as you turn around to leave. Okay? The other one is, oh, no. You misunderstood me. I meant that I'm not sure I could do another price increase. Okay. All right. And others that just simply say, okay, we'll miss you. And you know what? All 3 responses are fine.
Yeah, that's what I love about, with the app, with Mogo, because I send people a link and I'm like, the pricing is all right there. I don't have to argue with anybody. You either click the book now button or you don't,
Yep.
I don't have to argue with anybody about how much it's going to cost. And if I get there and you put your dog in at 0 to 15 pounds and it weighs 22, you're going to pay a higher price. And I have a scale in my truck.
Oh, and here's the thing too. I remember one of my early clients, she calls me up and she says she has a poodle. And I thought it was either a mini or a toy. Okay. Because that's mostly what I saw. I rarely saw standards. And so I quoted her the price and I get there and it's a standard poodle. And she goes to me, I may have misled you. However, I wanted you to come out here. And then she plays the legally blind card. I'm legally blind. I can't get to a groomer. I know it's going to cost more. And I go, yeah, it's going to cost more. Okay. And so I gave her the new price and she was fine with it. All right. But what that taught me, his Pooh Bear, and what that taught me was to be a little clearer when I am giving prices about what exactly. Hello. Hey, Pooh.
This is Etta James.
Hey, Etta. We got another dog on here now. So, yeah, you know what? If you look at things and you think, what did I learn from this? I learned to get a little bit more specific about exactly what it is they have that I am quoting them on.
Right.
So, anyway.
Well, this has been so fun. Look at your little guy. He's so
and
cute.
before we wrap up, what would be some words of wisdom for you?
Words of wisdom. I think we touched on it a little bit, and it was like knowing your limitations, and not pushing yourself. I know this girl who is kind of she's working for a company called Furryland. So it's I guess they lease out the vans or whatever. I don't know. But she's kind of having a hard time because they just are booking her and booking her and booking her, and she can't handle the. And I told her, I said, you have limitations. You have 4 little kids. You're a single mom. You can only be gone so many hours. You can only groom so many dogs in a day. And don't stress it if they're trying to overbook you. You have to be assertive and tell your boss, I can't do 3 doodles in a day. So know your limitations and be assertive about it if you're working for somebody. Because you can get burnt out really, really quickly and you can hurt yourself or the dog. So, just don't push yourself.
And this is for my corporate groomers. Okay. So back when I worked corporate, you're supposed to leave the appointment book at the register when there's nobody in the grooming room. Okay. So, until I did that, until the day I got to work to find that I had 3 standard poodles and 2 large newfies scheduled for the same day.
No, that's not going to work.
That is not going to work. No. After that, the book came home with me. I don't know where the book is. Did I not leave it at the register? Oh, I'm sorry. Make sure I leave it at the register today. It's like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
Or if I knew I wasn't going to be in the next day or another groomer was going to be there, they would know where it was hidden.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad too with I can handle my own schedule. I can move everybody around. If I don't want to do a dog on that day, I can, message them and say, hey, due to logistics, it would be better if I did your dog on Friday instead of Tuesday, or whatever. So I have full control of my schedule, which is a really huge thing, as a groomer working for someone.
Yeah, it really is. Knowing what you can and cannot do in a day. I mean, it was the first time I had to call up clients and say, listen, I don't know who scheduled the day for me, but they scheduled an impossible day.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I've had to make those phone calls.
So, Mindy, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I kind of feel like a no one, but I do have a lot of experience in this industry. I've been around a long time. I think at this point in my career, I've groomed at least 1 million dogs, which I think gives me, some sort of validity in this industry.
Oh my goodness. We should try to figure out how many dogs we've actually groomed over the years. I'm going to sit
Yeah,
down
I
with a
mean, like, if
calculator.
you do the math, like in my younger years, I was grooming 20 dogs a day, you know. So if you take that, you know, and even just at a half of what it really could have been, you know what I mean? I'm sure I'm near 1 million dogs, easy.
Yeah,
And
I
I've
think
seen
I'm
a
gonna
lot
I
of
think I'm
things.
gonna play around with some numbers
Play around with some numbers and see,
and
because
come up with
that's what
a
I came up with.
ballpark figure on how many dogs I have groomed over my grooming career. Oh my goodness. All right,
Yeah.
thanks for that, Mindy.
It's a lot. I've been at it for 45 years. I mean, if you just look at, you know, just say 4,000 dogs a year for 45 years, that's a lot of dogs.
All right, well, I'm gonna go do some math and
See how close I am.
yeah, see how close we are. So
I'm not
anyway.
good in math. I failed math, so I'll let you do those numbers.
Okay, so everybody join us next week when I interview somebody else making a difference in the pet industry.
Thank you, Mary.